All right, homeroom. We got Jesse Sarver here. Well, you'll always be Sarver to me. It's Jess Johnson now, who I taught in high school. But more importantly, you were the star of our water polo team when I got in that 2-year stretch where I was the water polo coach. God help us.
You saved us. We were going to lose our program. You had no idea what the sport was or how it was played, but you did a great job.
Hey, homeroom, I don't know if you find this entertaining, but yeah, the water polo coach left and we didn't have a coach and everybody begged me. And I ended up, Jess, I don't know if you know this, I ended up going to Villanova that summer and watching water polo just to try to learn the sport. And I still don't know the sport, Jess.
You got us our new coach because one of their players ended up being our coach after you left.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of the rare coaches who was like actively trying to recruit someone to take my job because I thought I don't know what I'm doing here.
I'm trying to help you. We were just so appreciative you were doing it.
I'm trying to run like basketball plays and I'm like, all right, we'll do like a pick and roll thing here. And everybody's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Fastball. You threw a little hockey in there.
I mean, there's the old joke, like the water polo joke, like where are the horses? Like that's about the level I was at.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, you graduated in 2005 and then chose Ursinus. Do you want to go back and tell us about your college search or if that was your choice or what were you thinking of?
So I do not recommend my college search and college application style. So and most of what I'm going to talk about this morning is that I was very set in my ways. I knew what I wanted. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. And I had been looking for schools. I didn't necessarily want to be that close to home, but I kind of wanted to stay within an hour. I just knew that about myself. Some people want to go far away. There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay closer to home. I found Ursinus and I really liked it. It was a smaller campus, gorgeous. It still is. They've renovated it further. I'm still pretty involved on campus whenever I can be. But they came and did a visit in, I remember the room, the little like LGI room kind of. They had a recruiter come.
Did they come to the hub?
The hub, thank you. I went, talked to a recruiter there. We had a great chat. She kind of did an interview with me on the spot. And at that point, that's the only place I wanted to go. And I applied there early decision and I applied to no safety schools. So that's why I 100% do not recommend what I did because I did get lucky. I was let in early acceptance and I got to go where I wanted to go, but I had no safety net. But yeah, no, I don't regret it. I loved Ursinus.
Yeah.
It's perfect fit for me, but.
Yeah. And for those, I think most of you know, but Ursinus is only, I don't know, a 15-minute drive, maybe 20 at the most. And it's right out 422. And it's just a cute little college that kind of straddles this little main street there, and across the street it looks like there's sororities or maybe just people own houses, like, but just neat. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 100% on campus housing. Really, no one commutes. The whole campus takes up about 3 blocks. So like at any point you can be a block away from any friend who goes to Ursinus. So it's just a really nice kind of community collaborative environment.
Yep. And you studied chemistry there. And what was the goal, to be a teacher or to be a chemist, or were you not sure?
Yeah, the original goal was to be a chemistry teacher. That's what I had my heart set on. I come from a long line of teachers. And then I got to my junior or my senior year, and my mom, who was getting towards, she probably was like 5 years away from retirement at that point. She kind of encouraged me like, hey, why don't you try, not every degree that can go into teaching can go into like another career. Like, why don't you try being a chemist, like go into industry, like really make sure you can always come back to teaching. You can always get certified. She's like, go check out being an industry chemist. Well, they thought I'd make more money. They didn't understand that entry-level chemists do not get the kind of pay you see on TV that scientists get, but it all worked out. So I did. I went into industry, and that's kind of what perfect segue, like when I thought about like what I want to talk about with graduating seniors right now, is I had my plan. This is what I want to do when I grow up. I want to work in a lab. I want to be a scientist. And it wasn't until I was in that job for 8 years that I realized that was 100% what I didn't want to be when I grew up. I worked for 3 years, midnight to 8 a.m. in South Jersey for a gas industry. So I had an hour and a half commute because I've always lived in Montgomery County. And so then I thought, okay, it's this job. It's this specific job I don't like because my commute is awful. My shift is awful. So I switched and I started working for a pharmaceutical company. And I also hated that for 3 years. And again, I was like, you know what? This company's poorly run. It's the company. So when I worked, I had some friends from college who worked for a chemical company in Conshohocken. And I worked there for 3 years. And I also hated that. And then that's when I realized, like, it's not the companies. Like, I just don't like being in a lab. There's no people around. I love to talk to people. I love to be around people. You're just in a room with no windows doing repetitive tasks. And for some people, that's great. I didn't love it. And then I got a call from a recruiting agency, and I thought they were calling me for another science job, but actually they were calling because they are specifically scientific recruiters. They're specialized to understand, what is needed in different scientific positions or clinical positions. And they just fill those specific roles. And they wanted me to come do what they do because my understanding of the industry and the actual science of, what these people will be doing is so beneficial. And I jumped at it. I took a sizable salary cut at the time, and I was in my late 20s. This was, I was 29. And I took leap, and I don't regret it at all. I started working for that company, unfortunately, just due to their own business needs. I was laid off about 2 years later, but I was lucky, and within a month, I found another job doing the exact same thing, and I've been there for almost like 2.5 years now. And I love it. I love what I do.
I'm amazed by your stick-to-itiveness because you'll talk about the one job. You're like, well, that wasn't for me. I hated it. And after 8 years, I left. and then another one, you're like, yeah, this one wasn't for me either. And after 3 years, I figured it out. I'm thinking, my God, I would
really make sure I give stuff a try.
I mean, you really gave it a try. I mean, there's nobody can say, oh, come on, you got to stick it out.
No, but I just kept, well, because also, I was in my late 20s, and it's, the thought of having to start over, potentially go back to school, like, if it was daunting. So it was just like, nope, just keep at it. Like, you'll figure out how to make this work. And then when I was finally given the opportunity of like, oh, this is a way to do a career change into something that's more people oriented, where I want to be, but still uses my education, I don't have to go back to school and get more student loan debt. It was great, and it ended up working out.
No, it's daunting when you're there and you think, well, can I leave my job and do something else? And the bills are rolling in. You're like, well, how, I mean, that has to be, that'd be tough. I mean, I'm 22 years into this gig here, and I'm not so sure what, I think it's too late for me to move, but for years I would think, boy, I wonder what else I could do, and it's good though. Your message is good because almost everybody I have here have had multiple jobs. Like almost nobody rolls out of high school and they say, I want to do this. And I'm going to go through 4 years of school. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get married by 25. Like nobody's plan actually comes to fruition. It's very rare, I think. So it's kind of good to hear your story. So, not to keep you too long, but do you have some overarching advice here for the class of 2021?
I didn't know these services were available when I was in college, and I wish I had. So now working in recruiting, I see that side of the business of, the hiring side, and like, but there are so many. And if you go to college, or even if you don't go to college, you can just reach out to companies directly. So many companies are happy to have people come in and shadow for a day. If you find a career you think you might want, find a company in the area that does that, and either have your college career services department do it or do it yourself. Just reach out to their HR and be like, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this company. I'd love to come in and shadow someone for a day. I really would just want to see what it looks like to do this job. And there's so many people that would be so happy to do that. And I wish I had done that, because I probably would have gone and shadowed some people in a lab and been like, I don't want to do this. Like, this doesn't look like what it looks like on TV. This isn't what I thought this would be. Um, and that's my biggest thing is if you have a career idea, even if you were like me and you're like, no, this is 100% what I do. There's no way I'm wrong about this. Go find a way to either do an internship, a 1 week shadowing, you just like sit and have lunch with someone who does that. There are going to be people who are going to be happy to do that for you and give you a real idea of what that career would be before you're 8 years in and hoping to find a way to get out.
Yeah, that's a good message. And, you know, I never, the thing about teaching is that you think you know it because you've been in high school yourself and you've been in college and and I didn't really get what teaching was till I did it, and it was kind of shocking. As a student, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of easy. You just do some math problems at the board and the kids copy them down. And I think that's got to be true of every job though. Like you don't know until you're in there for an 8-hour day, like what it's like. And yeah, so that's a good message. Hey,
Yeah,
Jess,
that's my biggest recommendation.
don't be a stranger when,
Yeah.
our school opens up, come back. By the way, this is homecoming week. This should be, guys, seniors, I'm sorry, this should be pep rally day.
Pep rally day.
We should be having like 35-minute periods today. And then I have to pop a few aspirin to go into the, into the auditorium for a loud 1 hour at the end of the day. So that's too bad. But seniors, tomorrow we have a parade on campus. I'm not sure when it starts, but check your Schoology because I think it's tomorrow. So anyway, I'll see you there. So look for me tomorrow. Jess, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks. Bye.